Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Leslie.
Welcome to the Rangers Journey.
Good afternoon, evening, or morning, depending on where you are when you're watching this. You're watching the Rangers Journal Scouting Report with myself, Mitch, as your host this evening, and joining me is the effervescent Stephen, as always, as we look through some top picks across the German league. Stephen, how are we?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Yourself?
I'm not too bad, mate. Bit knackered, but we're getting there. Bang us old age. So what we're going to do, Stephen, is we have 5 picks that obviously between ourselves and the department we've went through. And as we go through them, obviously, I will show everybody our working, and then I will let you take the floor when it comes to describing.
No worries, mate.
And I'm just going to add these slides up without any further ado. There we go. So first up and hot off the press, we have Omar Traore. He is a predominant right back, right wing back, playing for Heidenheim at the moment with a value of €4 million. German national, he's 6'2", so not vertically challenged. Stephen, take it away.
So obviously you can see for the stats, mate. He's obviously he's a massive target. We're going back the way in terms of their heading and sort of that. So he would fit right in, I think, for me in terms of physicality. He's not going to be getting pushed about, certainly at 6'2", a wee bit lightweight, I feel sometimes at the back. But then obviously again on the other side, you look at it, he's obviously quite comfortable on the ball in terms of look at his passing. His progressive passing 77% and 71.1%. Obviously gets us to keeping possession, and then the progressive passes getting us up the park and getting us through the thirds. Obviously is key for a team like us. And then this one here, mate, for me, 3 crosses per game at 48% accuracy. That's obviously massive accuracy when you consider, I think we spoke about it before, anything around 20 is
20
the sort of
upwards.
norm. So obviously a massive crossing accuracy there, which you would obviously hope would then convert into chances and potentially goals.
I think
And then
one of
obviously,
sorry, mate.
You go.
I think one of the big things when you look at Traore's heat map, it shows you that he's a bit of a rasping right back. He sticks to his channel and doesn't deviate too much. You know, he's much more likely to be a build it from the back and stay up and obviously support the attack, but stay in his lane without cutting across the pitch, which probably goes a long way to, you know, showing obviously those 3 crosses per game where he's not advancing too often throughout a game. Where we see obviously, you know, in that kind of opponent's other half and the opposition's half, his map's kind of green where it's a bit lighter. He's not expected to be there as often.
Aye. No, definitely, mate. I agree. You can obviously gets himself up and down that right hand side, but yeah, as you can see, also like you said, there seems to be more in our own half or towards the sort of deeper ends of the opponent's half. So I agree with you, mate. Obviously, it would be a good addition down that right hand side to use that wee bit of stability. Because obviously we'll with Tavernier being out of contract in the summer, we will be looking potentially at options, and then obviously as well, you've noticed his contract's up in the summer, so one that you could potentially get for nothing or for a bit of a cut fee
Nominal.
in January.
I think as well, one of the other things that's worth noting there is obviously, yes, we know Tav's contract's up in the summer, but that doesn't mean that he might not hang about for a continuality year as well, which allows a player like Traore to come in, getting used to playing in front of, you know, 54,000 people every week, getting used to the pressure, the spotlight, and getting ready to essentially just take the shirt off his back and kind of as part of that usher out era there as well. You know, he's what, give or take, he's, you know, no disrespect in the ageism here, but he's 7 years younger than Tav. You know, he's he's got 7 years on tap there in terms of he can afford to wait around for around about a season to fully take on that right back berth if Tav sticks around for another year.
Oh, definitely. And I think that would be my sort of preference as much as Tav's out of contract in the summer. I think my preference would be to have somebody to come in and sort of learn off him, to know also what he's been through in terms of what we're expecting, etc. So that would probably be the preference for me, mate, is to learn under Tav and then sort of kick on the next season.
That's exactly it, mate. I think there's far worse learning trees in the world than James Tavernier out there, and having that experience around even for one more year. If it is one more year, then great. But I think this is probably part of what the club wanted to do with Aarons this summer. Was have that try before you buy season with Aarons. But as we all know, Aarons has been okay, but he's not done really what we would like him to do.
Yeah.
So it's this is where players like Traore maybe come into the fore. So moving on to our next player, we have Jordi McKengo. He's a left back who can play left wing back and, more importantly as well, left centre back, but more predominantly out in that left back berth. He is 6'3", French nationality, and plays for Freiburg with a current transfer market value of £6 million, €6 million. We're currently unsure on the contract expiry date. As always with players' contracts, it's always speculation anyway. We've seen that, up until the start of this week there, obviously, when the end date of Nico's contract came out is a year later than we all thought. But as always, Stephen, the floor is yours.
Again, mate, obviously left back's a position that we will need to sort of delve into potentially, hopefully in January before the summer comes in. But obviously again in the summer, when we're going, probably going back to the south. So obviously it's one that we would need, that you would always need to look into. Again, like you said, previously 6'3" on this boy. So again, height wise and probably physicality, you're not going to have any sort of worries. In the back line. And then again, mate, as before with Traore on the right, he's passing, and his accuracy of passing is obviously really good. Again, for us keep possession and progressing up the park, which is obviously a massive factor. And then again, his aerial duels and defensive duels win percentage are 55.6 and 64.9. Again, good numbers probably for a left back who's probably not seen as much action as down the centre. So I think again, mate, another one who looks like he would be comfortable on that left hand side and gain us that wee bit of that wee bit of width out there to sort of play out to and try and progress up the park. And then obviously again, mate, like the same as Tory, he's crossing 2.7 crosses per game at 52% accuracy again. You would hope and expect that to convert into plenty of chances and plenty of crosses. Plenty of goals.
I think one of the big things that I quite like looking at his stats is he wins probably about 2/3 of his aerial duels. When he's up there, he's he's winning about 1 and 2 duels. But again, let's be honest, Freiburg are a bit of a mid-table German team at the moment, so they're not often playing on the front foot. They're playing a bit more under the cosh. So when you've got, the wingers for the likes of Bayern up at your tail, and you've got the likes of Leipzig wingers up at your tail, and you're probably going to lose more than you're going to win there, just down to just who you're playing against more than anything else. And I think if he's doing that in a relative kind of upper mid-table team, if you put him in a ball dominant team, you would see those stats rise, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think obviously he's probably facing more duels aerially and defensively, like you said, now and at Freiburg than what you would hope that he would if he was here. So obviously, you would expect the numbers to sort of rise. Although obviously they're not poor numbers, they're decent numbers, and obviously you would expect him to get better. And again, at 24, probably still plenty of room for improvement as well in terms of his age there. He will probably get better.
I think that's one of the key things with him as well. He's on the right side of young, but he's also still got, if he was to come here, he's still got that potential for one more move hereafter. You know, that way, if he was here for, or I say, a 3-year contract, at 27-year-old at that point, you know, he's staring down the barrel of a good move, you know, ideally to a kind of top 5 league somewhere. You know, so
No,
get that in turns probably meaning some good money.
definitely, mate. Hopefully turn a wee bit of a profit. That's obviously what you're looking for at the end of the day as well.
That's exactly it, mate. So from flashy left back and left wingers, we take a trip to centre backs, and I introduce now. I am going to any Germans amongst us who are watching this. I apologise in advance because this will in fact be a butcher's attempt at the surname, but I believe it is Amos Pipier. Again, anyone German watching this and is offended by that enunciation, click in the comments, let us know, sound off, and tell us how we should announce it. But I'm quite excited by this man. I'm not going to lie, Stephen. He's a big centre back, big German, 6'4", built like a brick. He is the sort of man that you build hooses on. Back in the day, they used to send boats out made for Helena Troy. They used to settle football teams around this man. At 6'4", his contract's up at in June in the summer there. So again, he is another that could potentially have that experience factor and that kind of lower market value there as well. The floor is yours.
Aye, so again, mate, like you said, obviously the sort of big physical centre back, 6'4", his percentage of defensive duels, and obviously his aerial duels at fucking 84% aerial duels is massive. And again, similar to Freiburg, he's playing in a team who are like banging mid-table in the Bundesliga. So again, he'll be facing a lot more. We'll be facing a lot more attacks and a lot more, obviously, duels coming at him compared to what you would hopefully expect here. So again, the numbers are massive when you look at it in that sense. And like, as well, though, you look at these numbers for interceptions and recoveries, it tells a story and how well he reads the game. It's 7.6 interceptions and 14.2 recoveries. Massive numbers for somebody at centre back, reading the game well and sort of stepping in and taking charge and getting that turnover for us. Obviously, looking at the heat map, he looks like a sort of predominantly right-sided centre back. And although we've not really replaced, and a lot of people, I've said this before, a lot of people will probably have a dig. I don't think we've replaced Connor Goldson at right centre back. I don't like, obviously he had his issues, but since he's left, I don't think we've got any better on that side of the defence. And obviously looking at somebody like this, he seems to have a wee bit of everything. He's aerially, he's obviously very dominant. He reads the game well, but at the same time, on the other hand, again, like the two previous to him, he's passing and he's progressive passing for centre backs. Are a good number as well at 86.4 and 65.1%. That progressive passing for centre back, which sort of may probably lack a wee bit going back to front, and it's not just a hoof ball. It's probably maybe a pass. You missed that, I think, and you obviously just need to look at his sort of numbers on the right hand side of the pie chart. The amount of parts that he's at the top of the tree essentially for centre backs that have played more than 4 games in the league.
I think as well, it's clear both on and off the ball, he goes through a power of work.
Yeah,
You know, and that's, let's be honest, that's one of the big things that when you're in the spine of a Rangers team, you need to be willing to work hard for 90 minutes and having that concentration to perform at the top levels like he does at the moment, whether that be from a passing perspective or getting his big head up there, obviously, to get his head in the end of it. I think from some of the footage I've watched of him, he kind of reminds me a wee bit like a German version of Dan Burn almost, where he's big, no nonsense, but from a head, like from a set piece, he's a menace because he's so big. You
Mhm.
imagine, you imagine a night like, when against likes of Falkirk or against likes of Dundee, miserable winter's night. There's a corner coming in. You've got Manny Fernandez and you've got Pipier in there as well beside you. If you're a centre back, who do you mark? Well, you've got two strikers up there as well.
No, definitely, mate. He would 100% be an asset in both boxes.
You'd have to stick big man drawn on him just to
That's
just to feel something.
the-
But I think moving on from the centre back department, but it is an area though of huge concern, obviously, as we look into the summer, given the fact that as we stand and as the time we're recording this, the only two centre backs that are currently under contract for next year are Manny Fernandez and Clinton Enciala. So players like Pipier to come in there as an experienced head now, certainly a lot younger than Leon Balogun was, obviously, when he first joined us, but that in a backline that has currently got an average age of haven't had a shave yet, given that bit of leadership and bit of the physicality to be able to do the things that he's telling his younger partner to go and do, I think that would really kind of help the likes of Manny and help the likes of Enciala kick on the next gear.
no, definitely, mate. I think we've said it watching the last few games. These boys look like they might go on to be decent enough centre backs, but they probably need that wee bit of leadership beside them, and they're not getting that at the moment. So
That's
they're struggling.
exactly it, mate. So let's see who we have next on the agenda. We have Linton Maria, who is a left winger. He predominantly can play on the right and in the number 10 channel. Gordy's got a wee bit ambitious calling him a centre forward, I think. But we've got in there, he is 5'8", no sure about that one. Plays for FC Cologne, valued at £4 million and a German national. Floor is yours, Stephen.
Again, mate, so somebody who predominantly plays off the left hand side. Look at his stats for last season. Obviously, the goals only 3 goals, but 11 assists. So obviously, a very good creative player on that left hand side, which um, we really don't have. We don't. We miss that creativity for the wide areas. If you don't have Tav performing, you're not really offering much out wide. Again, though, you look at he's obviously a threat coming in off the wing as well, with his touches in the opposition box per game at 5.4. So something that you would hope would again convert into chances and potentially goals. And for me, mate, somebody who, when you look in the bottom here at his player strengths, dribbling, pace, his chance creation, which we spoke about getting into the box, it's all something that we sort of lack, I think, for our wide areas. They don't really. I know we've got players who can dribble the ball, yes, you see it in flashes, but you don't have that drive to get up the park, get the ball, either get the ball in the box, or if you're on the opposite side, get the ball into the box yourself, and then have that composure to create a chance or potentially score a goal. His goals, the actual goals, obviously at 3, is no far off what he was expected to score over the course of the season anyway. So it's obviously no a massive difference. You would hope that he would maybe get more in a team who probably dominate games more than he's going to be at Cologne. But again, an interesting option. Somebody who looks like he'd provide that wee bit of width on the left hand side, and that wee bit more creativity than we've sort of seen in the last wee while.
I think as well, one of the other things I look at it as well is when you look at a player like Mania, he's 26, so he's got a good bit of experience under his belt, obviously, at adult level. He is a regular starter for his current team at the moment. And he's obviously got that bit of flair about him, just that, without being too showboaty, he's not thinking he's Lionel Messi or anything, but he's got that bit of sense of stability with the ball at his feet and that sense of can do with the ball at his feet, where he's not afraid to get stuck in, get the sleeves up. And when you look at the stats there in particular, when you look at his, the crosses and the accuracy of them at 40%, the passes into the penalty area, they're the hallmarks of a traditional Rangers winger, where essentially you know for a fact that you're going to get to ping in maybe 10 crosses over the course of a game. You have to be not afraid of your own stats. You've got to be mindful of the wider option that your job is put the ball in the net for some, like put the ball into the box for one of your number eights running onto your centre forward. And I think he strikes me as that he could potentially offer that little bit of versatility in there of, just as you say, maybe he could have Baj in the middle with Mania out there either side of him, because I think we've seen with Kasama struggles a bit more on the right hand side when we play him down there. And at the moment we don't really have so much a natural raw right winger at the moment.
So I'd agree, mate. I agree. Obviously, like you said, we sort of struggled, and we have done for years doing that right hand side. We looked like we'd potentially solved that issue when we brought in Ant-Man, and he's obviously his first game, he was flying down the right hand side, putting the ball in the box, obviously created plenty of chances, and he still does. Obviously, we know that his chance creation is not exactly anything to sniff at, but we don't have that natural wide man really who's getting the ball into the box and creating that sort of gilt edged chance for us to try and put away. I think a lot of them are quite scrappy.
Aye, scruffy.
Aye, do you know what I mean? Like it's a ball across the box and it's hitting maybe a defender, or you're hitting the first man and hoping somebody gets to the rebound. You're not really picking people out.
I think,
So
like you, mate, I think this is where it's when you play lefties on the right and rights on the left, so much of that happens from players keep chopping in because they can't get across off in their natural foot.
don't get me wrong, I like it, but you need to then have that athleticism behind them in the right back and left back positions, like we'd have previously, and obviously even Barisic when he was sort of in his best years here. But we just don't have no off on that at all now. So it's an alternative, mate, that we could potentially look at.
Now, it wouldn't be a Rangers Journal scouting report if we didn't bring the wonderful viewers a wild card option, a project like no other, a surname that comes with razzle dazzle, thrills and flares, but hopefully he's got half an ounce of talent as we approach Aaron Ibrahimovic. He is a young attacking mid-right winger. He's 5'9", 19 years old. He is currently on loan at Heidenheim from Bayern Munich, I believe. Currently valued at €4 million, with his contract expiring in June 2027, so about 18 months left on it. Now, Stephen, I know you know a slick mick when you see one. You know your top boys from your flop boys. Come tell us.
I think you hit the nail on the head, mate. I can say where it's a sort of wild card pick, a wee bit of a project. Obviously still a young boy playing in a team who are almost bottom of the league. So you don't expect the numbers that you're seeing are obviously no hitting the heights of somebody who's maybe 6, 7 years older and playing in a sort of mid-table team, but he's somebody that coming out of the Bayern Academy, and going out on loan in Germany in the first division and playing so far 10 games, started all 10, so they obviously trust him. There's definitely the trust in that player there for the ability to have the ability to go and help them sort of try and maybe climb up that table a wee bit. He obviously is very comfortable in the ball. We look at he's dribbling 2.1 dribbles a game. His passes in 71.3 accuracy, 71% accuracy. His progressive passes at 5.5, 64% accuracy, and 71% accuracy for passes into the penalty area. So obviously comfortable in the ball, got a good eye for a pass, and looks like he would create. He can get into the area and kind of give the opposition that wee bit of something to think about. You can see them below as well. his strengths there, with his off the ball runs and his flair and his dribbling. That's something that you probably don't have much of at us. The wingers sort of static until they receive the ball. You don't see that running behind or getting off your man to receive it, and then obviously that wee bit of flair to try and go in the boy. We missed that. Like, you've not really seen that since Ryan Kent when he was in his prime years. Obviously that year of the Europa League run, we've not had a winger who can go by a boy and put them on their arse essentially. I mean, that wee bit of trickery, that wee bit of flair
You
there.
know, I think as well, mate, it's worth noting as well that Mikey Moore goes back to Spurs in the summer. We have scope when Mikey Moore comes out of the team. And again, Mikey Moore's been, a pretty good addition to the team. He's coming into a bit of form now that Russell Martin's away, and he's got a manager there at the moment in Dan O'Donnell who trusts him and gives him clear instruction on what he wants him to do on the park. I think having that, there's space at the moment. Mikey Moore, let's be honest, it would be fantasy land to try and sign him. I think he's rumoured something stupid like £70 million or something. Like a player like Ibrahimovic, though, on the other hand, there, when you say, when we get to the summer coming, that's a player with 12 months on his contract that's currently valued at, in sterling, around about £3.5 million. Is there maybe something there that could be done at that point to say, look, there's maybe a bit of headroom, in the squad to take that, project player role, because he'll, as I say, Mikey Moore will be away, which I think is the kind of fairest comparable. But also, Manny Fernandez next summer cannot be considered a project player. Finlay Curtis has been in the first team squad for too long in terms of being considered a project player at that point as well. So you say, well, who is the next project player? And if we can get enough experienced bodies around Ibrahimovic, I don't think we could expect him to be a starter next season, but I think we could expect to see him maybe play 20, 25 games over the course of the season in terms of appearances. Do you think that would be something that would be kind of achievable for him?
I mean, definitely. Like you say there, he's already played 10 games. He's started all 10 of the games for Heidenheim, so he's playing in a tough league and a team that's obviously struggling. So they've obviously seen he's got a bit about him. So I would definitely say that is an achievable target. Having obviously no starting, no 25 of those games, but getting 25 games under your belt in a team that's controlling games and controlling possession, I definitely think that you would see him. You would see him maybe kick on and progress in that in the course of those games, mate. And like you said, obviously under Danny Rowe, he's got somebody there who would give him that sort of guidance and tell him exactly what he's looking for on that side.
Exactly. Well, Stephen, your company has been an absolute treasure as always. Now, everybody watching will know that this is part of a series that we will be doing over the course between now and January. And we can only do this work in these videos thanks very much to our proud sponsors of the Bluebells Bars in Porta del Carmen over in Lanzarote. If you are looking for the best destination for all things Rangers while you are over in Lanzarote, go and see Kenny and the team. They will look after you and make sure that you let them know that you came through the journal there. But keep your eyes peeled on what we're doing next, because as Stephen can testify, there are lots of exciting videos in the works at the moment.
No, definitely, mate. There's plenty going on behind the scenes, so we'll definitely see some more videos out in the coming weeks, mate.
Exactly. So as always, everybody, don't forget, every night is a Rangers journal night, and we'll see you down the road.